I'm a night staff worker, working in a care home with children with challenging behavior. Though my job title is night support worker, it's more like glorified cleaner, because the children almost always sleep through the night without issue. I really enjoy my job, it fits perfectly around my family and the pay is good. Recently this new woman was hired, let's call her Ike. I hate her, I've worked there for nearly a year and have a good relationship with staff and the children. Though I lone work, my fellow night workers are just lovely women and we chat on a WhatsApp group and we're very protective of each other. Since Ike started she kept leaving messages on how night staff should be doing this, night staff need to do that, F off Ike. If management need us to do something I'll hear it from them, not you. The final straw came when this message was left for night staff on a night shift a few weeks back. Night staff need to be checking the fridge for out of date food. There was some food that had gone off which I had to chuck out, and night staff need to ensure they're checking the fridge. I took umbrage with this for two main reasons. 1 point, it's actually day staff's job to be checking the food date CCT. They have a checklist which needs to be ticked off every day, and making sure food is labeled and in date is one of the tasks too. Ike has been here for 5 minutes. I've had fart smells linger longer, and for someone so green to write a message like that, jog the F on. Now for sweet malicious compliance. So if Ike thinks it's night staff's job is to maintain the food safety standard, alright, I will. That night and every night shift I was on for the next 2 weeks, I meticulously went through every cupboard in the fridge and threw away everything that was opened, not labeled or wrapped up, including sauces, condiments, sandwich meats, dairy products, everything. One night I literally threw away half a fridge worth of food, which in a non-care home environment wouldn't normally be an issue, but food safety standards states food needs to be wrapped once opened and labeled. I also left a note every time I had throw away food. Staff need to be sealing and labeling food correctly, as night staff don't know when food products were opened. We have to assume it's out of date to comply with food safety standards. It got to the point where management pulled me to one side and said, "Why are you throwing so much food away?" I responded by opening the fridge and showing them an opened pack of ham, not sealed, not labeled. In the back of the ham packet it says once opened, use within 3 days. So I said I was told night staff need to be checking the fridge, and every time I've checked it the day staff aren't labeling food or storing it correctly, then I have to assume it's out of date. I showed management the message and I was told actually it's day staff job and night staff don't need to worry about that. Shock, horror. So management made a clear statement about day staff responsibilities and took Ike to one side to have a chat. Take that, Ike. Note, I know it should be criminal to throw food away like that, but UK food safety standards required it. So please no angry comments about food waste. I know it's a travesty. My grandfather, Pomper I call him, told me this story during lunch today. When he was a young captain in the army, he had a commanding officer, Co, that liked to call conferences at the drop of a hat. He also had an administrator called Percy. Pomper said Percy was the meanest man he's ever met. One day, Percy came up to Pomper and told him that the commanding officer had called a conference and Pomper was to get there by the fastest means possible. So Pomper went outside, hopped into a Coles crane and drove the crane across the army base, parking right outside the commanding officer's office, so the crane blocked the window. His co asked what on earth Pomper was thinking bringing that over, and Pomper explained that he was just following orders and came by the fastest means possible, as Percy had instructed. Apparently the co was not best pleased. My boomer AF mom is always concerned about Facebook and Google and the FBI tracking you and selling your data. While this is true, there are a number of tools you can use to combat it. When she got a hand-me-down Galaxy S7, I wanted to set it up so that she could have it backed up and location turned on, but she was like, I don't want all that, it's just there to mine my data. Even when I explained it'll help her locate her lost phone or retrieve any data, she wouldn't budge. So I turned everything off. Location, backups, all that, per her request. Today was the day she learned the hard way. She came out to get me from the eye appointment, and her phone fell face first on the rough ground. She then ran over it with the car, I believe. Either way it doesn't look great. She then was missing her phone, and I tried to locate it with Find My Phone, but the device didn't show up. We go back to the clinic, and there it is, screen cracked and digitizer broken. She lost photos, contacts, text threads, etc. And now she has to downgrade to an old burner phone. Okay boomer. This was of your own doing. Edit. She was warned multiple times. Every time she denied. And we primarily used iPhones, so by the time I switched to Android the SD card was being phased out. I didn't have a spare on hand more than 8 GB because this was a hand-me-down phone. And the reason why I'm indifferent about it is because she's kind of a controlling, entitled mom. I didn't say this to her face, but that's just how I felt, and I accept if I'm wrong. Apologies for the long background, this is important in the story. I had a boyfriend who was in his junior year in college when this happened. I, on the other hand, was in my second year in master's degree and working as a teacher's assistant in a different university. He lived in a different city, approximately 2 hours drive from mine. We usually see each other on weekends. I had always helped him with his papers, essays, case studies, feasibility studies, business proposals, marketing plans, etc. After 1 year in the relationship, I ended up doing everything without contribution from him at all. He didn't even bother to read the papers for editing. He'd say that he trusts me and he knows I'm a good writer. This was difficult because his degree is different from mine. I'm a computer science major while he is a business management major. Add to that, he always notified me about these papers when the deadline is too close already, so I always ended up spending the whole night just to do his papers. Aside from giving me the burden of doing requirements, he also told me that this time I should write 2 papers for the same topic. One would be the full paper, while the other is a paraphrased version. I didn't find this odd, because I had a subject with the same requirements. Professors use the paraphrased versions as an inclusion in our final exams. One time I had to go to his city for a 2-day workshop. He told me I could stay in his apartment, so that I wouldn't be driving back and forth. I agreed and actually thanked him for his kindness. On the morning of my first day of workshop, he left early because of his class. While I was preparing, I heard a notification from his laptop. He left it open on his study table. I checked it and found this conversation of him and his girl classmate, GC, in his Facebook Messenger. GC, hey, are you done with the case study assignment? My BF, oh crap, when is the deadline? I haven't even read the case. GC, tomorrow's the deadline. Class hours, don't forget me. My BF, got you. I never intended to pry. I respect privacy. However, this conversation was really giving me chills. I back read their conversation and /ding ding ding/ I saw that my BF has been giving the paraphrased version of all the papers that I made for him to this girl, and yes, she's his side chick. My day went on the usual, and when I got back to his apartment, I wanted to talk to him about what I saw, but he told me he has to go out to meet his group mates in another subject. As he was heading out, he told me I needed to write another case study and the deadline was the next day. He gave me a 3-page readings for it and reminded me about the paraphrased version. I told him that before I do this paper I need to ask him about something. He dismissed me angrily and said that he'll be late for the meeting. Giving up on discussing the issue with him, I just said I need to know the details for this case study. He shouted at me and said it's the same as the last time. Q in MaliciousCompliance /. While he was out, I started working on the papers and planned my revenge. I threw the reading material into his trash can and looked for the paper that I wrote for him last week for a different topic. After all, he said it was just the same as last time. I didn't edit anything except the file name. I know he'll be giving the paraphrased version to his side chick, so I used the original one and renamed it to paraphrased_version.docs and renamed the paraphrased version to original.docs. I sent it to his email and told him I have an emergency in my apartment and that I will be going home that night. I lied. I packed my bag and went to a hotel for the night. The next day, I went to my workshop, turned off my phone, and went on with my day. As I was driving back to my city, I opened my phone and saw that he left me a ton of messages and missed calls. I know my planned work. I called him and asked what was the matter. Me, hey, what's up? BF, The paper. It was from last week's topic. Me. Are you sure you checked the correct email that I sent you? BF. I was accused of cheating. I'll be suspended and worse dismissed because of this. Me. Cheating. The papers are not plagiarized. I even used Turnitin. Why did your professor said you were cheating? BF. Silence. Me. Is it because you and name of girl classmate has been submitting similar works? BF. Hang up / According to a mutual friend of ours, the side chick is in the same subject, but different section. The professor checked their previous submissions and saw the similarities. My BF and his side chick failed that class and was suspended for 1 semester due to cheating. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like and a comment would mean a lot in YouTube's world. Share with us if you would have done things differently, and don't forget to support the original authors with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.